Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions. This is a daily pick a card reading for December 26th. And the purpose of this reading is to give you a brief piece of advice or to help guide your overall focus for the day. And if you're looking for a longer, more detailed reading, please check out my channel. So if you're new to pick a card readings, the way this works is that you will choose from one of the three piles here and then click on the timestamp in the description to skip ahead to the reading you've selected. Now, if you do feel compelled to choose more than one card, that is totally fine. Please follow your intuition. There's probably some good advice in each reading. But one pile may be more accurate than the others. So I have also added 3 crystals to help you decide. And today I have an Apache tier. This is Aragonite and Amazonite. This is a new deck that was a Christmas gift from my lovely wife. Thank you very much. This is the Shadowscapes by Stephanie Puimun Law is what I want to say. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Stephanie. But yes, this is the Shadowscapes Tarot. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds of silence so that you can meditate and select your card if you wish. And then we'll get started. So let's go ahead and begin the 30 seconds right now. Okay, so if you have not already done so, please go ahead and make your selection and scroll down to the description to find the timestamp for your choice. So let's get started with pile number 1, which is the Apache tier. If you chose this beautiful little Apache tier, this is your reading. So you have the Lovers in the reverse, the Devil in the reverse, and the Knight of Cups in the reverse. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, this is a rule of mine where if I get all reverse cards in a reading, I flip them all upright. There's several reasons for this. One of them is it just seems to be more accurate in my experience. If I have all reverse cards, then it seems to kind of nullify the reverse. So, and then the other way is that the meaning is not all that different, but this sees a little bit more positive side rather than that excessive negativity, right? So your current situation here is the Lovers. So this is all about having to make a choice. So the Lovers is not, you might think upon first glance at this card that the Lovers is about, some very romantic, almost soulmate type connection, something to that effect. But in reality, this is not about so much being magnetically drawn to some person as if there's no choice in your fate, right? But this is quite the opposite. This is that a true loving relationship requires a commitment or a choice or a decision. I was just talking to my grandmother about this, about how real love is not just a feeling or an attraction, but rather it is sort of the results of your actions, the results of the choices that you make. Right, so you can't just define it by a feeling, because a lot of times that's defining love by the ego, and the ego is far beyond love. Just like your idea of yourself is not It doesn't include everything about you. It doesn't include your heartbeat and the inseparable connections that you have with everyone around you. So a more complete idea of what love really is it includes the choices that you make and how you decide how to act as the result of those feelings, and not just the feelings themselves. So this is all about having to make a choice and having to realize that a commitment is an order, and it's not necessarily in the context of just relationships. Being a general reading, some of you will undoubtedly be experiencing this in the realm of relationships. Others of you, it'll be in a much more general way, where you are being asked to make a choice to essentially illustrate your love for something. So when the going gets tough, are you going to stick with it? Or are you going to choose to be faithful to whatever this is that you supposedly love, right? Or are you going to become kind of fickle and let it go because it doesn't seem as convenient, or it's not easy all the time, or something like that? And that's the difference between just a momentary passing fancy and between that true love. So your challenge card here is the Devil. So this is the sort of temptation to, instead of being committed, and instead of following your heart in this situation, or committing yourself, the Devil is more ego driven. This is your desires. This is the temporary, fleeting side of love that is not committed, but is instead basically a slave to one's own soul, or desires, and instead of soul. So this is a challenge for you, because it seems as though there's a choice for you to make here, and there's a strong influence of sort of the instant gratification, temporary, the dark side of things, right? This is a big influence for you. It's pretty front and center for you, and speaking loudly. So it's something for you to think about. Are you going to fall victim to your lower impulses, or to momentary, fleeting happiness, or are you going to look for something that is perhaps not as much of an instant gratification, but is more fulfilling in the long run, maybe, or better for your soul? So your advice card here is this Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups is a very romantic individual here. So, I said this isn't going to relate to relationships for everybody, but what this does definitely point to is a person who is a little bit more of like a go with the flow, feel your emotions, and use them as sort of a guiding force, but also like follow your intuition a little bit here. Your emotions are a way of sort of filtering out the information that comes from the subconscious. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't, and so if you have to temper your emotions, because they're also sometimes susceptible to influences, and you have to kind of figure out what those influences are to kind of correct your compass, so to speak, because you can end up getting sort of emotionally triggered by things, and so perhaps you can have like overreactions with your emotions, but you just have to do a little inner work to be able to figure out exactly how to listen to your emotions, or how to get an accurate picture from them. And again, that requires meditation and inner work. So the advice here is to definitely look inward to your emotions for some advice here, and to let them guide you a little bit. Going with the flow means also playing this a little bit more aloof, instead of feeling like there has to be, like you have to have it one way. That's that voice of desire, the voice of the devil. It's likely to lead you astray. if you can embrace this more open and flowing energy, it is much easier to make this true love type decision. And whether, again, it be regarding a person or regarding, a project or something that you want to get involved in, if you can kind of maintain a little bit more of a flowing existence with it, an open existence, rather than a controlling or determined existence, you can typically stick with something more. And that seems almost paradoxical, right? But if you have this sort of perfectionist, really focused mentality, a lot of times it can cause you to burn out very quickly or go through these cycles of burnout to where you just don't want anything to do with it after a little while. And so you get tired of it and you're ready to move on to something else. Whereas if you can maintain this sort of cool, casual distance, a lot of times it's much easier to just stick with something with the knowledge that you want to in the back of your head, And so that's about it for card number 1. That was a very long one, but I think it was worth it. Okay, so now we'll move on to card number 2. And if you chose the Aragonite for card number 2, this is for you. So you have the 7 of Wands in the reverse, this beautiful Queen of Swords. Wow. And the Magician in the reverse. Okay. So 7 of Wands, you're not really feeling like you want to have to defend yourself. You're in a situation where it seems almost like necessary to defend yourself. You're being sort of attacked or accused, something to that effect, and you're kind of resenting that situation. You're not happy with it. This isn't a friendly debate or something like that. You really don't feel like this is benefiting you. You feel like it's kind of it's not good for you overall to be having to defend yourself. There's a little bit of maybe a feeling of a lack of respect from those around you, that kind of thing. And challenging energy here is this Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords she's very introspective. She's an intellectual, but she's not an intellectual in a way that is trying to dominate the environment around her. She's more of trying to figure out her place in life and what life is about, philosophy, that kind of thing. She's very she's interested in a rich sort of inner intellectual life. So if this is the challenging energy for you here, you are kind of focused on the bigger picture. You're working things out on a bigger scale, and you're kind of put off by stupid little argument, or what you see as kind of stupid little arguments, or just sort of these maintenance things. So to be fair, sometimes with this Queen of Swords energy, you can be a little bit, in your own head and not extremely well connected with the realities that are going on around you. So it may be that you really just need to connect a little bit better with these people whoever this is, that you're having to, or you're feeling the need to defend yourself, right? They may just not really understand what's going on because you have a little bit of internalized mental energy here, and it might be different than what they're used to, or it may just make you a little bit of an enigma or a mystery to what's going on in your head and whatnot, and that can make people uncomfortable, right? So it may be that all that's really necessary to rid yourself of this sort of energy here is a little bit more attention to your relationships, whether it be personal or work or family or anything like that. They may just want to, hear from you a little bit. And oftentimes even when it's hard when the people around us are not receptive to, especially like things that we love, things that we care about. But oftentimes, it's really healthy to practice sharing yourself with those people anyway, even if they're not very receptive of it, and sort of creating a distance in your mind to where you don't need their approval, but you're still open with them and showing them love in that sort of way, and sort of detaching yourself from the outcome. Now, on the contrary, if you're not able to detach yourself from that outcome and you feel that they are causing you emotional or mental harm, then it's probably better to remove yourself from those situations. But it is an opportunity for growth and for temperance, for you to be able to go into a somewhat hostile environment and maintain your cool, maintain the positive, loving side of it, rather than devolving into a fight about those types of things. Your advice card here, this Magician in the reverse. Magician is all about sort of manifestation, and he, whatever he imagines just sort of happens, and it's almost effortless, and that's why he's the magician, right? It seems that he is able to control the world around him as if by magic. And now in the reverse here, there's a little bit of a block here. The manifestation is not coming through the way that you want it to, or you're sort of resisting this, maybe unintentionally. So the advice here is getting caught up in this sort of egoic thing here, the Seven of Wands, is likely to be the source of your frustration, the reason that you're not able to really accomplish what you want, or to manifest your true desires. But it's not the arguments or the defending yourself itself that is the problem. Like I said, this is more of your reaction to it. So with manifestation, it's important to not get overly hung up on what you don't like or what you don't want, but instead to stay focused on what you do want, and to sort of have a mental fortitude to not allow your focus to be knocked to the side by external circumstances. And you must be very assured that once you start down the path of beginning to try to manifest something real, it will be tested. It's just the way the universe works. It will be tested, especially because there may be some past energy or karma that's built up around that you have to work your way through at first a little bit. So learning to distance yourself from this sort of combative energy and to assert yourself, but without needing or without feeling the need to sort of devolve into an argument or an egoic type of a fight will serve you very well here. So that's about it for card number 2. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to card number 3, the Amazonite, if you chose this card. For you, we have the Hermit in the reverse, the Four of Wands in the reverse, and the Death card in the reverse. Okay, this is another situation where, because of rules, when I get all reverse cards, I flip them all over, and we look at the upright meanings, because it tends to make a little bit more sense and be more accurate. So your situation here, the Hermit. So this is a little bit of isolation, or sometimes a little bit of loneliness, but more so in the reverse. But this is some inner work, some possibly meditation, or kind of just alone time, and so what's challenging you here is this Four of Wands energy. So the challenging, it could also be influencing you, or that kind of thing. So this is a very happy home. This is a good situation. It seems as though you're wanting to be home and you are having some of that opportunity, and it's good. It's a good thing. Um, so as far as like major difficulties, not seeing a whole lot of that here. If anything, maybe you are not as social as you could be. And so, with this Four of Wands here, this challenge, let me expand on this a little bit. The way that I like to envision the Four of Wands, first of all, I always think of a home when I think of the Four of Wands. The wands sort of make the four walls of a house. And those four walls are symbolic of four particular energies that are necessary for a happy home. And again, this is the way that I visualize it. I don't know if anybody else has ever sort of coined the meaning in quite this way, but the way that I always think of it is that the four energies that are necessary, first of all, there has to be effort put into the home. You've got to take care of things. You've got to, clean the house, maintenance, things like that. That's one of the energies. Another energy is there has to be effort put outside the home, and not just your yard, but I mean, you have to go to work, you have to earn money, and if you don't have a job or you're like a farmer or something, then you have to go out there and find supplies for your home. You have to go out there and bring something back into the home. And then another energy is rest. This is important too. The home has to be a place where you can do nothing, right? That you can charge your batteries, that you can sleep, that you have a sense of security. So that's another important energy. And then the fourth that often gets overlooked is it has to be a foundation for your goals, for what you want to accomplish in life. So it's not just a home because it's a good place to be, a good place to live. There also has to be something for you to be sort of working toward, using that home as a tool, right? So those are the kind of four elements that make a happy home, in my mind at least. Some people may disagree, but that's okay. So in the context of this reading, you just want to make sure that that fourth energy of using your home life as some sort of a means to an end, as well as all these other energies, is at least part of the equation to really propel your home to the next level, to propel your happiness to the next level. So be careful about too much of the hermit energy, that home body energy. You will want to at least use this alone time to consider, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to get out of life? And honestly, there really is nothing specific that ought to be achieved in life. It's really just a matter of entertainment, really. It's what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to get out of it? And it's a very valuable way to spend some alone time, is to figure that kind of thing out. Now, your advice card here is this death card. So this is the death card is not really, it ought to be called like the birth card because it's not so much about the dying. It's about the sort of passing away of the old and rebirth of the new. And in this card here, it looks very much like a phoenix. A phoenix arises from the ashes, and that's a very appropriate energy for this card. It is a new type of something carrying forward. So this is a rejuvenation, a rest, that is followed by like a new opportunity. So the advice here is to, with each passing day, treat it as a new life, a new opportunity, something to move forward, and see with fresh eyes. Don't fall into monotonous cycles but instead find ways of refreshing your outlook on life and seeing everything with a new perspective, you know. And this is also going to be something that helps you achieve that sort of Four of Wands, happy home energy. So that's about it for the daily reading for today. And thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave me some comments and let me know what you thought. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow for your next daily reading.